Greetings RC fans, Sharky here and welcome back to Sharky's Garage for this episode 6 of the Optimus Blue build. And there are a few different things today. I've brought the studio out on the road. I've come over to visit with Sean Baker, who's going to help me today, because today we are hopefully going to end up with a rolling driving chassis. Today is all about the electronics, getting those fitted, getting the full driveline fitted. We've got a lot of awesome parts. Thanks go out to the sponsors, to GCRC, to LCG Crawler, to Punks, to Small&Sound, to the team at the BERCC, to Tomley RC. A lot of people have helped out with this build. So, what we got in front of us, I'll run through all of that in a few minutes when Sean comes back in. He's just popped outside to get the servo tester. We did get the lovely blue chassis rails, which will be replacing the ones on the top here. We also did get these from GCRC, which are Punk's Customs Specialist mounts that these slide into, and then these posts screw into the top and screw down to screw the body down onto the rig, which is what I saw Landy Kev was running something like that on his. So we'll get on with that. Obviously it is the only blue carbon fibre Cayman chassis in the world as far as I'm aware. So we've got all the bits and everything laid out. We'll go through all of that when Sean's back in. Obviously we've got the Fly Sky GT7P. The battery has been charged for that. This is not the battery I'm going to be running on the rig full out, but it has got the requisite controller, and it is also a 3S, so we can use that for testing purposes. And obviously we've got the tyres and wheels, which were donated to the project by Franco. Don't forget to do the usual things, like, comment and subscribe. So I've got Sean sat here beside me. Let's talk through what we've got. So I pulled out my handy dandy little tester, which this is going to be loud, folks, when I put it on the right way over. Showing that they're all 12.4. One is at 4.13, 2 is at 4.13, 3 is at 4.17. So handy for having on the trail. You can also plug these in if you're slightly concerned and you don't have a balance lead plug on your setup, to run as a secondary alarm for voltage cutout. Put that to one side. Programmer that you've lent me, we've got the Fusion Quick Run, which has the 1080, the 1800 kV 540 spec brushless system. E.A.S.T. It's got the E.A.S.T. all built in one. Now this is not the Pro version, so it's slightly longer, which is why we've had to put the nuts on the outside at the rear of the rig. Okay, to fit it in. The Pro version you don't, because it's that bit shorter,
and it's also 2300 kV.
Yeah, so it just gives you a little bit more tolerance. So that's that, and we've got a programmer card for that. We saw the build of this, which is the transfer case and transmission. The motor and that will all look on. We've got the spur cover and everything for that side. Once we've got all of that put together, we've got the bits and pieces here. The dig servo with the dig mount is a Dimond 6 kilogram, so we've got that to all sort out.
And this little dig servo mount comes with the chassis rails.
Yeah,
it's part of the Cayman kit.
Yeah, so that's
also in blue. Lovely, lovely.
Yeah, that's that.
There you go.
So that's that bit.
Servo horn for it.
So no, that's the servo horn for the front.
Okay, right.
Now, a bit overkill, but
not at all.
Going for a raw 500. Again from GCRC. There is a possibility that, talking to my brother Keldon, he has some paint that may
Oh,
blue. Enamel that blue.
Lovely.
But I'm going to run it as is and then do it, because obviously that will void any warranties. But yeah,
I run one of those.
Yeah, these are fantastic. But the blue edition was only done for either mental health awareness or one of the charity ones, so they're very limited, and they're like £500-600 a time. Yeah. So that's the servo to go on the front. Because of the size of that, we've had to change to the 14 tooth on here, because the one that came with the Caiman, not the Caiman builder kit, the Capra builders kit, is got a 5mm, and this needs to be a 3mm.
Looks like it to me, yeah.
3mm. We have got the extra long piece of tail shaft for sorting out the shafts, which will need to be cut to size.
And these are
that's the standard stuff out the Capra,
which is brilliant, because they're the axial wild bores.
Yeah,
and they are the go-to drive shafts. Fantastic.
And they're plastic,
lightweight, but they're really strong.
Yeah,
metal ends on them, superb.
But that extra long piece came from Gareth, and you just cut to length.
If need be, yeah.
For the rear, I think he said you need to do that.
Possibly,
so got that. These are the mounts for the body, which we will put on today, and we'll probably put them in a different location. I got my nice blue anodized ones through, so we will replace these two
spacers,
as spacers, and then we'll drop two of these onto
the top there. Yep.
Yeah, for that, and at the rear here, for mounting the body, which came from Ian Henderson at LCG Crawler. Thank you very much for that.
What, the body?
Yeah.
And which body have you gone for?
I've gone for the tucked Ford F250 body.
Oh, nice.
So something slightly different.
Yeah, cool.
I'll do the body and all of that once we've got this up and running, because I want to test it and all of that before I start doing the body, and then we'll cut the body and then I'll get it painted, and all of that. So that's that. Pop those out of the way. So that's about it. We're going to get cracked into it, and we'll get back to you once we've got the next stage done. So what is this here, and what's the setup, and how does it work?
Right, really quickly, this is a servo tester. So it'll tell you whether your servo is working or not, but also you're able to centralize the servo spindle, so that when you put your horn on, you know your horn is going to be as central as it can, so you've got full throw in both directions, rather than you not knowing where the center point is.
Excellent.
So the way it works is you take your servo lead, plug it in, got directions on it there, make sure, so you've got that in, the negative. You do the same with the battery. So battery goes in, oh, let's get this one out of the way, goes in there. So what I've done is I've got it set, there's three settings: manual, neutral, auto. So manual is I can turn it, neutral puts it to the middle, auto will test your servo. So I generally leave it on manual. So, and I have it turned full one way, so I immediately, right, so now I'm going to turn this, and
there's no horn on, so you can't really see
horn,
but we can.
But we can see and you can hear it. Is that good?
Yeah, it's quite quiet, but yes, you can hear that.
Nice little quiet servo, cracking little servo. So then you press the next button, press the button, and it goes full throw one way, so now it's going to go to neutral. That's centralised it.
Yep.
And then to test the servo is working properly in both directions, it's now moving and it's full throw in either direction.
Yep.
So we'll go back to centre. That's centred, so you know that when we put the servo horn on it, we can have the servo horn pointing down or up, but it'll be dead level. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it. Take the battery out. Take that out.
And we know that's now centralised.
Job's done. That's done. And we'll do the same thing with the Raw 500 as well.
We'll still do the same thing with this one later on.
Exactly with the same thing with that. And you basically need to use, I've got a 1S battery, but I generally try and use a 2S battery because it's a little bit more power to get the servo to move.
Yep. Cool.
Done.
Excellent. Some time later. So, changed over to the blue from the carbon fibre ones. We've put these mounts on as well, which are the body mounts, front and rear. Just needs adjusting up on there. And we've mounted the dig, which we can talk about in a second, and we're also mounted, and we've mounted the motor. So turning it round.
So what we've done with the dig is we have used the mount on the side here, which is actually attaching to this top link, using the same hole as the top link comes through, and then because it's got the slots rather than a hole, you can adjust it to which height you want it. So we've got nice and low. We've attached servo to the servo mount. That's on as well. That's nice and tight. It's not moving anywhere. This is the servo horn that comes with it. So we have used the axial supplied nut, and this is the piece that goes through into the end of the dig lever.
Yeah.
And then we just put a little spacer just to keep that width the right width.
Yeah, to keep it nice and
At
straight.
the minute it's in 4-wheel drive. Once you've set up the radio and the endpoints, that's as far as it goes, and that is now in locked rear front wheel drive, and that's it. That's all it moves. But we will set that up with the radio.
Yep.
So that's that part there, and then here. So motor is mounted.
So before we go on to that, just to point out, because we are running the stock Fusion motor to make it work correctly, and because the standard axial gearbox is quite highly geared, you need to down gear it with an 11 tooth 32 pitch 3mm motor shaft.
At least you can go down to a 10,
yeah,
or even a 9 if you can get hold of one.
But you can't run the 14. The 11 will run, which fits, and you see that clear.
It now fits here. It's a lovely, lovely fit against the chassis rail. Perfect.
Yeah, the 14 that comes standard with the Capra Builders kit will push it out too far, and
then what it does is it squints,
and it's
the
also
motor,
too fast.
so it'd be far too fast as well.
Yeah.
So we've mounted the pinion, and so people can see, this is always an issue with how you get your gear mesh. So I have got the gear mesh so that this pinion just rocks. You can just see that moving, yeah?
Yeah.
Just see it moving a tiny bit. That should be the perfect gear mesh. If you need to make it looser, you can do, but that is ideal.
And you tighten up
Okay.
one of them first.
Yeah, do one motor mount first, and then the other one, just
And
because
just
because when doing the motor mount screws, it can just pull the motor over slightly and make it too tight. So just do one, check it, do the other. The other thing to note on here as well is because of the shape of the pinion, if you look here, you see there's a flat edge to the pinion here, and then you've got the teeth. You want to make sure that when you put the pinion on the shaft, you have it far enough back so there's a slight gap between the teeth on this gear and where this flat surface is. Otherwise you'll take all the edge off here of this gear. So make sure the pinion is far enough this way just to clear that.
Okay, so that's it for now.
If you can see. There you go. You can see that.
We'll get back to you once we've got the next phase done. We're going to talk about the drive shaft. We've put the front drive shaft together, and we have one of the shorter and one of the longer ones on here, and you need to make sure that they are phased so that these are both in the same position. Now Sean's going to talk us through how we put it together for the rear. We have got the extra long one from Gareth, which can be cut to length, which is the beauty of having these to get it to work perfectly. We will go through all of that and sort that, but talk about how we put these together for somebody who hasn't put together a drive shaft.
Okay, so drive shafts come in so there's these three parts, and then there will be, for example, there will be these two parts that you're going to use.
Yeah.
There's also these here as well. If you can see that, hopefully you can.
Yeah.
So you take this, it has a hole and a slot. So you take one of these little beauties, which are a bit of a mare to see through. Barrel nuts, yeah, something like that. So that goes into the side of here with the hole facing the slot. Then you take the next piece, which is also metal, and you can see that it's got a little cup in there basically. So you line up this cup. It has a hole on either end, either side even. You line that up with the hole in the part in the middle of the ball, and then you take these little silver fiddly pins and you put it in the hole and you work it through the barrel in the middle. And you can see it's on that side and it's on that side, and now that's attached. Okay, and then to hold it all together, you take the plastic part,
which has one bigger hole,
one big hole and one smaller hole, the same as this one here, big hole with thread, small hole without. Line them up, push it on, holds the pin in place down here, and then just while I'm building them, before I fit them, I then take the grub screw that attaches here and I just do it up enough so that it cannot come apart. That's one stage. Next stage is to take this long one. If you look here, there is a rectangular slot here with a hole in.
Yep.
That fits onto the end of the metal piece there. That slots in nicely. Perfect. You then take this small
flathead
screw, which is probably about 8mm. Take it into the end of the drive shaft. It'll go into the hole and it will attach. If you can see, this will now pull in, and that pulls in and makes one end of your drive shaft. Now this is temporary, so that once we know exactly what length it's going to be, I'll take that screw back out. I will then put some thread lock on, blue thread lock,
because you might need
put
to
it back in, because you're going metal into metal, and just finger tight, and then that's your drive shaft made. You carry on by doing the other one, and then you take this section,
yep,
and just fits in, and it slides back and forward nicely.
Cool.
So as you can see on this one, we've done that. We've lined up the two grub screws. This will now move nice and easily and turn beautifully.
Right, we'll get together when we've got this all mounted onto the chassis. Right, so front drive shafts are on, rear drive shafts we're just putting on. We've got to Loctite it yet. So what we did was we took the front one, we pushed it in all the way, slightly longer. We then took a Sharpie and marked on the shaft where it came to. You can see there the silver marks on the end there, which is where it sat there. Then took it apart, lined that up with there, marked that end with the Sharpie, and then cut just inside of that Sharpie line. And we have got perfect setup for it, which we'll show you when it's all fully back together. We're going to Loctite it all, put that all back together, and we'll show you when it's all attached. So obviously when you're doing it, you don't put the Loctite in, but you need to Loctite into the grub screws, blue Loctite, the Loctite on the screw that goes into there because it's metal into metal. Do that once you have got everything all fitting properly. So it's now all together. We have fitted the Raw 500 servo onto the front here. We did have to put some little spaces behind because the metal servo horn we were using was just hitting, but now it clears, and that all done. So that's all done. So the next phase will be to power up the FlySky G7P and get it all up and running, which we'll do in a few seconds. So when you come to this one, I bought the lithium ion, well no, it's lithium ion battery, and you need to make sure that you get the orientation of the plug right with the hole, because it'll only go in one way, like that. And then you've got to work out how to sit that in there somehow, like that. And then this goes over part way, and then should, if we've got it right, slide, there we go, there together like that. Theoretically, if we've got it right, when we turn it on, and we now have a flight not set, fail safe, need to set.
That's the first thing that comes up every time.
And I've got the transmitter, so we're going to get on and do all of that now. Right folks, I don't know how long the video is at this point, but we are right at that point. Sean and I have done some work off camera setting up the G7P. We bound it following the instructions in the manual. You just need to make sure that there's a little button on here, just where my thumb is, to turn it on. Okay. We've also programmed the fusion, which is pretty straightforward on there, and there are a lot of videos around on doing that, and every handset and every motor is going to be different, so I don't really want to go through all of that. If people are interested, drop me something down in the comment section and I'll do a separate video just talking about the Fly Sky, or just talking about the fusion and the settings and stuff like that. But we're trying to get to the point today. Now, before I turn it on and do it, I'm going to talk about how awesome these axial things are, because I've got one little spacer that goes on, and then the hexes have, focus, a screw hole and the pin that screws into it. So that goes into there and goes all the way through. But you don't need to use Loctite on these because it'll be held within the wheels. So those have got to go on. As per usual, turn your controller on first. With this, where did the switch go? It is just touch to turn on. So we had to set the dig up as well. So on here, see at this end, steering, and we set the steering endpoints. Nice and slow.
A bit quiet.
And then it's fast. And then the dig is on switch 2 on the side here. You can see down here.
So that's dig off.
Dig off. That's dig on. So dig off. You can see we're on 4-wheel. The back's turning, the front's turning. You can see the silver Sharpie going around on the drive shaft, giving sort of some show up on that in the bottom of the screen there. So we're going to finish doing that, put the wheels on, and that's pretty much going to be it for today. We'll get back to you in a second.
Boom, and we're done. Messing about, go on, stop.
No, that's staying in the video. So massive thanks to Sean Baker, chairman of the BERCC, and the GRU behind.
Oh, the GRU now.
The GRU behind E.A.S.T. So these are the wonderful wheels that Franco has donated to the project. Steering, that raw 500 servo. You can. Oh no, because it'll fall off the box if we're not careful. So also this wheel we had to turn around because it wasn't the right rotation, because it's a rotational tyre, so we just need to get the foams seated right on that. But the dig, so if you look here now, and you just need to move it slightly, and it's engaged. And that's the dig off. And you can actually see there the overdrive.
There's little things.
Overdrive in the front as opposed to in the rear on the portals, because we're portal overdrive. Right, folks, that's it for episode 6 of the Optimus Blue build. I need to go out and practice driving this. I need to get all of these bits done down to the chassis. I need to do the cable management. I need to sit the body on it and all of that. So that will come in another video. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to Sean for all his help and assistance. Thank you very much to his lovely wife Val for putting up with us while we've been gassing on for the several hours it's taken us to video this. It was her birthday the other day, so yeah, she's been busy baking cakes while we've been doing this. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you all again soon.